you keep talking about stacks, and for fantasy guys, they know what a stack is. For people that are a little less inclined to understand what a fantasy is, they may be a little confused by that terminology. Tell me what a stack is. Maybe give me a few ideas of what they would be and why that could be valuable, and maybe why it can be dangerous for your team as well.
Sure. Well, okay. For those that don't know, when you stack a player or you're trying to get the quarterback in that offense matched up with the wide receiver in offense. Why is it effective? Well, in most fantasy, like if your quarterback throws a touchdown to his wide receiver, then essentially you're getting double the points, because you're depends on the league, of course, and the scoring wise, but if you get 6 points per passing touchdown from, say, Josh Allen, and then he throws and then to Stephon Diggs, and you have Stephon Diggs in your team, you get a double stack. You get 6 points from him, 6 points from him, plus the point from passing and all that kind of stuff, all those different things. So it's not a bad idea, and it can give you an edge on the competition. The downside of it is, one, you got a bye week, and you know that neither one of them are going to be playing. So you got two guys that you invested in your roster that you can't use. Also, if something happens where, maybe that week they don't get a touchdown, but the quarterback's throwing touchdowns to somebody else, or they're just having a bad week, then they hurt your roster that way. So it's a high risk, high reward type deal.
And with the right stack, you could dominate your seasons. You look at guys like the Patrick Mahomes, Tyree Kill stack that happened in the past. A couple of years ago when Mahomes was coming out, it won fantasy team. It won entire fantasy seasons.
Oh yeah.
Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, I think something along the lines of 63% of the people that had that stack won their fantasy.
Definitely. It was a huge stack to have last year.
Huge stack to have last year. So we got, and there's a few other good ones out there as well. So tell me, you got a couple of those are a couple that we just mentioned. Everybody knows about. Who else you got?
Well, so the one thing what I'll do is I'll tell you where most likely you're going to get. If you choose a stack, that's fine. I'll tell you where to get them and where you're going to have to get the quarterback at. So to me, the biggest stack, and it really worked out last year as well, Devonte Adams and Aaron Rodgers. Now, I know there's some controversy. We don't know. We're just going on what we got right now. But Devonte Adams, you're going to have to get in the first round. He's a first-round caliber talent. You're going to have to draft him in the first round. If all the other running backs are off the board and you draft Devonte Adams, my first thought is, let me see if I can get Rodgers. You can get Rodgers normally, since you got all these high-end guys. You can probably pick up Rodgers. Earliest I would do it is maybe like 6th round, maybe 7th, 8th round. If Rodgers is still there, you can grab him to stack with Devonte Adams. Tyree Kill, it's a little harder with Hill. Tyree Kill he's another guy that is probably going to be in the first round, more like the end of the first round. So if you're on the turn and you want to try to, you don't have that running back there, you can get Tyree Kill at the end of the round. Maybe if you want to wait, you can try it. But you may have to go ahead and get him on your second round pick, Patrick Mahomes, if you want that stack, because most likely people are going after him. People like to get their quarterbacks early for some reason. And so you may have to do that.
So I've actually seen a triple stack, just a little aside on that, where people get Tyree Kill at maybe 6, 7, 8, right? And then they pick up Travis Kelce a little bit early in the next round. And then on the third round, they get Patrick Mahomes, which is hilarious. Which, again, that brings up other issues, which is what are they going to do in their bye week? But that's a monster trio.
Here's the thing. Like, I don't mind. I don't necessarily stack my quarterback with the tight end. Not typically.
But, would you do it with Kelce?
Oh, heck yeah. In fact, personally, I would almost rather do it with Kelce than I would Hill, just because I think getting Travis Kelce would be a little easier, because, most people, even though it may change this season because, whatever, but a lot of places, Kelce's not going in the first round. A lot of people get him in the 12-team league. You can get him toward the beginning of the second. So there's a chance you might be able to stack Kelce with Mahomes a little easier than you can with Tyree Kill. Now, after the season Kelsey's had, and I think people are starting to wise up going, hey, tight end, really, there's a value there. It may be a little harder, but I found in some of the drafts that I've done is you can get that stack earlier than you can with Tyree Kill. We talked about it a minute ago. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, that stack, like I said, it won. I mean, fantasy teams won championships last year. Danny in our league, Danny the Mouth, who's not with us right now, he won because of that stack. But right now, Diggs, you're looking at a very late, early second round pick. You probably, if you're going to try to get that stack, then you're looking at Josh Allen in the
third or fourth
probably.
round, yeah.
I mean, third may be a little early still, depending on where it's at. But
late
fourth,
third round, early fourth is what I probably should say.
Definitely. If you pass on them and try to get them in the fifth, you're making a gamble. So, and not saying it couldn't happen, but more than likely the fourth is about where it's at. Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, again, same thing. DeAndre Hopkins, you can get at the very end of the first, more than likely beginning of the second. And then Kyler, you could probably pick up, definitely get him in the fourth. You can take a chance and you might be able to get him in the fifth. And then honestly, if you get him in the fifth, that's a really good value because you can get your running back one in the first round, pick up DeAndre Hopkins in the second, still fill out and get like another running back, maybe another wide receiver or tight end. And then you still got Kyler in the fifth. And you got to me, that's the one I would like to target a lot this season. So I like that.
Two more stacks that I think are worth talking about and maybe a little bit less expensive than the ones we've just talked about here too.
Sure.
One being a mid-range stack is what I like to kind of think of it as, which is going to be like a Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, and possibly even picking up a Lockett, because when they're on, they're as good as any offense in the. What are you looking like what are you looking at if you're picking up, a DK Metcalf, Russell Wilson?
DK Metcalf, you're probably you're looking at early to late second round on DK Metcalf. Russell Wilson, here's the thing. Russell, I've seen him fall quite a bit. And I think it's, a lot of people are getting scared off because of, the talk that, hey, we're going to run the ball more. And you saw how hot their start was last season. And then they fell off a little bit. The fact is they only had I think 3 or 4 draft picks in this draft, and their defense is still not going to be that great compared to where it once was. So I still think those games are going to happen where they're going to try to run the ball, just really because they trying to slow the pace of the game down. But when they get behind, they're going to have to throw. I still think there's some value. I've never been a huge Russell Wilson fan, but I think you can get Russell Wilson in the 7th, 8th round possibly, because he's falling down. A lot of people just are not taking as high as I thought they might. But so that may be a very viable.
Yeah, I think in terms of if you want to go a little less expensive and still have some major upside, and he usually starts out really hot for about 8 or 9 games, and then they kind of tailed off toward the middle of the season.
Tyler Lockett, you could probably get in the 5th round.
Maybe even 6th.
So, if you want to wait, you can get Tyler Lockett. If you pick up Tyler Lockett, you're like, okay, I'll stack him with Russell Wilson. And that really wasn't a bad stack at times.
No, and actually, I think that actually sounds like a solid stack. Plus, it's something that you could do and possibly have a second quarterback for a little less expensive, a little bit later down the road, and maybe do something else as your backup plan for and just drop them on your bench and just let them hold, maybe take a risk for that second one. And I think my thought process right now, especially after the draft, is Joe Burrow, and
that's the tricky part. I love where you're.
Is it Tyler Boyd or is it the new guy?
See, I love where your mindset's going. I like it. Burrow, last year I was even trying in some leagues when I had Burrow in a 2 quarterback league, I was trying to get Tyler Boyd, just because Tyler Boyd's the slot guy, so it's going to be a lot of quick PPR type stuff. T. Higgins is another one. Like I don't necessarily know if you're wrong for trying to grab any one of them, because I know in some drafts about the 5th pick, I'm grabbing either or. I'm grabbing T. Higgins. I'm grabbing Tyler Boyd. I don't know where Jamar Chase. Just because there's now that the drafts happen, they're trying to add him into draft boards and where he might fall and everything. And I think he might go a little lower. Burrow, you can get late though. Like some people are scared about the injury. You can get him late. I really don't know where to tell you to stack though. Like with them, I know you can get T. Higgins and you can get Boyd at this point around the 5th round, maybe early 6th.
Where can you get Joe Burrow right now in terms of a draft? I think that's the easiest way to start.
Brother, I'm getting Burrow as my late round quarterback sometimes in rounds like 10, or even like later on some of them.
So why not grab him late and then grab that late round flyer as like a sneaky stack?
Pick him up and see what happens
later. A month into the season, who knows? They could end up being, one of those really sneaky good duos that cost you literally nothing.
Yeah, exactly. I like to hit on some of those guys sometimes. Like I'll say this. There's so many good quarterbacks out there right now. One that I just thought of that I didn't even think about before we started discussing, which I think needs to be mentioned: Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen as a stack is absolutely phenomenal, man. I mean, he made Keenan Allen a wide receiver 1 last year. And I'm even seeing Keenan Allen now that they didn't, in the draft, they addressed the offensive line. So, and they addressed some defense. They didn't really address, I think they got like a late round wide receiver, but that's it. Like Keenan Allen is the guy for Justin Herbert. And so PPR especially, man, that's an awesome stack to have. If you can get those guys like that, and Herbert, Herbert, you're going to have to go up a little bit. Keenan Allen, you can get in like the 4th round, 3rd round, possibly.
I think it goes back to this whole triple stack because Eckler is a pass catcher in that offense as well. You pick up an Eckler, Herbert, Keenan Allen trio
stack there. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that.
Herbert, I'd say you're probably looking same about Russell Wilson, depending on some people might be high on him. So I think you about 7th round, you can maybe find him in there. Depending on the draft, this is where you got to be fluid in the draft. You got to be looking. If you're starting to see quarterbacks go off the board and you're like, maybe I need to grab them early. I don't think you're going to be very disappointed if you reach and get them, like say in the 6th round. But and
this is where it gets weird because you could say, okay, everybody's getting their quarterbacks early. At that point, why would you rush and get a quarterback that you don't want?
Sure.
And
exactly.
You just take what the board gives you and you say, you know what, I'm going to go later and I'm going to pick up 2 guys that one of the 2 hopefully will work out. Maybe, you pick up a Drew Lock that hasn't been very good, and just say, hey, you know what, he's got enough of a receiving core to be viable if he's still there.
Yeah. But do what you can. You don't always, unless you really, really want a guy, don't reach for it. See what falls to you. And that's one of the best advice people can give you. But, going back to stacks, listen, get creative with it. If there's a stack you like, go for it. If you like, Dak Prescott with any one of his wide receivers, if you're going to pick, you need to pick CeeDee Lamb or Amari Cooper. You could do that. If you like, Ryan Tannehill with AJ Brown, that's another decent stack that you could look at. Just whatever you feel. Just like you said, Joe Burrow, it may not be a huge advantage.
Shark. Go ahead.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, something that's not going to hurt you overall, but could have that little advantage when you've got teams that are really stacked together well and you're matching up. Just that little advantage can work,
Hey, thanks for watching the Royal Fumblers podcast, YouTube, whatever we're calling it right now. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and we hope to see you soon.